Most truckers are working harder than they have to. The smartest ones, they're using tech, tools, and systems to earn more while doing less. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how to run your business a little more efficiently and make your trucking business work for you. We're going to do that right after we do this thing that we do every week, and you guys are used to it. So here we go. Bam.
Paying too much for trucking insurance? What if you could save more by making one simple phone call and keep more profit? You could very well do just that with one simple call to Seabright Agency, 800-366-6466. Call now.
Now here's a question that all owner-operators and small fleet owners should consider. What happens when you access the unrivaled advantages that are available through the ES Advantage program? We asked Jeff and Charlie from Contractors Corner to share their thoughts on how they've been able to utilize the discounts and services that are a part of the ES Advantage.
So we started looking for a way to save money on fuel. And we were turned on to the ES Advantage program for fuel first. So we got a hold of Jeff Reese, and he ran us through that program. And man, we were starting to save. And then we started talking to them. Well, we saw their website, and we said, Jeff, what's this thing about insurance and accounting and
Right.
You lease trucks? What?
Right. And that's the thing, is we only knew it as a fuel card. And when we started digging deeper, I mean, we ended up getting hooked up with an insurance provider, Seabright Agency, and they created an entire insurance program just for us and our people. And from that, we've learned that, now there's even more potential. There's a greater opportunity, and it's completely opened up our eyes and broadened our vision into what it is we're trying to do, which is help people do better. Wrapped with the ES community just makes that process so much easier.
Now, if you're an owner-operator or small fleet owner and you would like to learn more about how you can drive savings to the bottom line of your business, the ES Advantage program has the discounts and services that deliver the kind of unrivaled advantages that are designed to help you improve your overall operation. Get connected with the ES Advantage today.
Everybody jump up and down. Oh. Energy. Thing we're lacking today. What's up, Jeff? You better stop it. Unmute yourself. Are you messing with me?
How's that?
Yeah, that would be better.
I was moving stuff around, and apparently I dropped my transmitter.
Oh my gosh.
It's a day. It's a day. That's my answer.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I was thinking before we dip into all of our official stuff and the hellos and who's first and stuff, what I wanted to talk about is how mama squirrels and daddy squirrels come together and create squirrel families. And I'm just kidding, Donna. I love you. Look at that face. Look at that face.
Well, so you can't see Donna, so I have to do the face for her.
Right?
Hi, Pete. Pete's watching.
Yeah. So Craig Bott was first, Matt second, Tim third, Lisa came in after there. Good to see everybody. How you doing, James? Jim Wall. Jim, I'm sorry, man. I'm still in a funk, bro. I'm working on it. Chris Hamilton, I owe you some calls for sure. Rosie just brought me coffee because she loves me so much. Oh, I'm gonna need the Bustelo. Hi. Oh,
Chris
Sean,
Hamilton.
good to see you. That was Rosie.
Hamilton called me the other day, Charlie, and you were incommunicado.
Who did?
Chris.
Oh, did you take care of that?
I did.
Thank you.
And,
Sorry, man.
I don't think he minds at all me telling people what we were talking about. Swift paid him more in fuel surcharge last week than he spent on fuel.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was running that West Coast, so he got that extra bump.
Yep.
And he was shopping for fuel like he's supposed to, and it penciled out.
I love when it works like that.
Yeah.
CW, good to see you, man. Went home after 6 months finally. Hey, if you get within that close to the house, you got to go, right? Wimpy, hello, sir. Tim Ransom. Sorry if I miss people. I apologize. Our tens and tens of viewers, and I can't keep them all straight. Mama Squirrel. TK, what's up, man? I couldn't resist. I just,
I actually sent Charlie a squirrel meme the other day.
oh my God.
The one with the squirrel that the guy saved, and he shows up when times get hard with his Spitfire and takes care of business for the guy.
Right.
Oh man.
All right. So this week, Jeff.
You know how Chris Hamilton did what he did, Charlie? He has systems in place.
Good segue, sir. I like that. So, the key to growth, it's not grinding typically, right? It's getting smarter about how you operate, from automating your paperwork to optimizing routes, digital load boards, maintenance apps. All these things are out there. They're systems that can save time and boost the bottom line. And that's what we're going to try and talk about tonight. Now, full disclosure, we have not used all of these things that we're talking about. We're presenting them as an idea of the types of products and things that are out there available to people. Some of these won't pertain to you, like, or some of our Swift guys, aren't going to be using some of these things because, a lot of that stuff is handled in-house or whatever, but we have viewers that are outside of that Swift group with other carriers, their own numbers and all that kind of thing. So this is kind of a broad topic. We're going to touch on the basics of what, how we feel about them, things like that. And, maybe that'll create a discussion and get people dipping into a little bit deeper into the technology that's good and not useless and, all that kind of stuff. Right. So we're going to dip right in the why systems and tech matter in trucking, right? That's our first little segment here. Common time wasters in trucking. Doing paperwork the old way, by hand, manually, inefficient communication, outdated scheduling, things like that. The cost support systems, you could miss out on loads out there, compliance issues and driver burnout because you're wasting all this time on doing paperwork and all these other things and making calls and hoping and gosh, just poking and hope. And what systems solve is, organization, automation, and time management, right? So, it's kind of a thing. So I'm going to throw this quick thing up here. I should probably open it on my computer so I can actually see it. I have a little tiny split screen. It's not working for me. I got to open things, Jeff.
Yep.
Whew.
The nice thing about usually working off a 14-inch tablet is that my monitor, even in split screen, looks huge to me.
That's crazy. So time wasters versus time savers is our little graphic there, right? Manual paperwork versus digital document tools, phone tag with brokers versus load board notifications, unplanned routes versus GPS route optimization, missed maintenance logs, maintenance tracking apps, right? I mean, these are all things that are out there that, how are you managing these things? No expense tracking versus mobile accounting software. Or, like we suggest and recommend, get someone like Trucker CFO, who can manage those things in the background and you can get access to and, talk to from time to time. I don't know, there's so much in this that I think it's going to be impossible to deep dive into anything.
Yeah.
So don't think that this is the end all be all of tech shows. But by all means, I mean, we're trying to dip into this to open those thoughts get the wheels turning, all that kind of stuff. Save me here, Jeff. I need coffee.
You're unable to be saved.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, I mean, think about the paperwork we used to have to do. And I know I'm gonna make people mad here, Charlie, but before the ELD,
right,
having to do all that math every evening because that was actually something you were supposed to do when you were done with your shift. Or you could wait until the next morning, but I'm not a morning person, Charlie.
right.
I don't math before about 10 a.m.
Yeah, mathing first thing is not a great plan anytime.
I'm one of those people that when ELD came out, I was like, all right, cool. I don't know about you, Charlie, but my handwriting's not that great either.
Right. Yeah, I struggle with my own writing daily.
I get this nice message from Swift on the Qualcomm. Hey, dude, we can't read your logs.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry. The graph is good. That's all you really need, but okay.
Right. Jeff, were you there for that time before the GPS tracking? Just before 08, 07 ish, because I remember in 04 at FFE, every time I crossed a state border, I had to write down the mileage on my odometer.
Oh no, I didn't have to do that.
Oh, bro, because I had to track how many miles in each state for the IFTA stuff.
Right.
And that's how we submitted it. So I'm like, oh crap, I crossed the border. Dude, Lord help you if you had one of those days where you didn't realize you crossed the border.
Oh, there's some days when I'm 100 miles into a state and I'm like, oh shoot.
Right. And now you're like backtracking. Hopefully you're not on like some state highway.
You know when it's going to happen, Charlie, is you're going south on I-5 and California doesn't have mile markers.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Or like, state routes, things like that. Oh my God. No mile markers. Just like, I don't even know how far
I'm this is an argument that I've made, and this comes into our efficiency as well and our compliance. Mike Henderson hated paper logs and encouraged dispatch to get you to cheat. Absolutely.
Yep.
Can't do that with an ELD.
That's why I went to Swift.
Yeah. That's one of the arguments that I use is that with an ELD, they can't tell me, hey, man, we used to just log time instead of miles or whatever.
Right.
I know what I would have done when I was driving. Well, I'm not you, bro. I'm one of those weird dudes, Charlie. I can't say that I never cheated on a log. When I first started, my mentor taught me a different way.
Right.
But after about 3 months of driving, I was done with the stress of if I get inspected and they want to do that 30-day thing that the DOT does sometimes.
Right.
I'm screwed. Because we did have GPS tracking on the truck. So they could bump your logs against that tracking.
Right.
And that was really stressful to me, man.
Yeah. For me, the paper log thing was my introduction to trucking was very early on, how to manage 3 logbooks. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. You guys, Jeff, in particular that this whole lying, telling stories thing, I struggle with, can't do, gonna tell on myself. Please don't ask me anything about my log, Mr. DOT officer, because the things I'm gonna tell you are not going to do me any good. But yeah, so I had decided when I came back to trucking in 08 that I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna find a company that I know is going to ELDs. And that's how I ended up at Swift. I knew they were going to adopt early and not like Werner early because they had to, but you know what I mean? And I knew they were a big company and I could get behind that and not have to deal with it. I mean, we still had paper logs for years after that, but I knew it was coming.
Well, and the organization and optimization and time management. Right. That's what an ELD really helps you with on the drive time side. Because when you're working with brokers or your carrier or whatever, you have to be able to tell them, I'm going to be ready to go at this time. Or I'm not going to be there until this time. And before ELD, it was kind of a crapshoot, right?
Right.
It wasn't exact. So, Yeah, I just really like it. Missed loads and compliance issues is another part of that ELD system.
Right.
You know, communications seems to be integrated into the systems that carriers use.
Right.
So you've got all of that component. You look at what the big dogs are doing a lot of times, and that's a clue. You know how maybe you should run your small operation, especially since they spent the money to develop it. So now it costs you like, I think that the top tier software I've seen for ELD and communication and all that together that integrates everything you need for certain load boards out there
Right.
is like $100 a month. That's cheap, bro. That's
Right.
cheap.
For real. You get all that data behind it too, and oh man.
Yep. Yeah, it's not because the big carriers spent the money to develop it. Now we smaller guys can benefit from that, and a lot of people don't. I've met people, Charlie, that buy trucks that are older than 2000,
Right.
just so they don't have to have that stuff on their truck.
Right.
So they have a truck that does 5.21 miles an hour or miles per gallon.
Yeah.
Spending all that money on fuel, not updating their systems. And that's another thing to talk about too, is updating of the systems, right? Everything from your truck to what we're talking about now. It's all part of your ecosystem in the truck, your business. So we want to get rid of the time wasters, right, Charlie?
No doubt.
All that paperwork. You know, one of the other thing that I think is just amazing is the ability to scan loads on my phone instead of having to find a truck stop with TransFlow. You know, you remember the old way of doing it with the envelopes.
Oh gosh.
People get their pennies in a bunch now if they don't get paid on Friday for a load they delivered on Wednesday.
Right.
Before it was it might get there in 3 days and they might pay you next week.
Right.
You know,
Maybe, hopefully.
and there's brokers out there too, especially if you take advantage of factoring, which I have my opinion on factoring, but I know that people do it. You know, with all the electronic stuff now, if you take full advantage, you're getting paid that day that you delivered.
Right.
It'll drop into your account, you know. So all this technology that's available now. We got, you know, must-have tools for trucking entrepreneurs. You know, well, let's ask your question first because we got a question at the end of this section.
Yeah. I lost it. There it goes. All right, right there. What's your biggest daily time waster right now? You know, and that could be different for everybody. And I would actually expect a couple different things, honestly. I'm not going to throw my input here at you. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. So feel free to drop those in the comments.
I got a big one that I'll mention later, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Drug runner, you're confusing me. I'm not your beautiful wife, bro. Just saying.
Oh, that's a time waster. I don't think she considers that a time waster there, buddy. You're going to get yourself in trouble.
Right. Lance Calhoun, are you guys paying for KR fuel gauges now? I am not as of yet. I'm still thinking about it. I'm looking at something else. I know it's silly, but whatever. It's only $5. That's fine. Yeah, go for it, Jeff. Second two, I'm ready for you.
Are you? So must trucking tools for the entrepreneur. You know, we talk about load management, financial tools, compliance and safety, maintenance tracking. And again, we haven't necessarily used some of this stuff ourselves. We were just fascinated by how many services are really out there. You know, Charlie and I are both leased to bigger carriers, so they take care of a lot of this stuff for us.
Right.
But if you're out there on your own, man, there is a lot of different service providers out there. You got, for load management, you got DAT, of course. Everybody knows DAT, right? Truckstop.com and SmartHop. That one kind of fascinated me, Charlie.
Yeah.
Because we looked into them and they're kind of a one-stop shop for brokering, factoring, all sorts of stuff. It really interesting business.
Right.
You guys might want to, even if you're leased to a carrier, check them out because, you know, we're interested in businesses, right? See what these people do. See how it affects the freight industry. Because, you know, the freight industry is not just the truckers, right? it really is true that we drive the economy. There's so many.
Legal note: we make nothing from any of these products, with the exception of Trucker CFO. If you happen to mention us, we get a small referral bonus.
Right.
Everything else.
And on the financial tools, of course, our friend Trucker CFO Colton,
Right,
great guy, runs a really good firm. We like to promote him because we'd like to see him grow. That's just the fact.
that's the facts, Jack.
That's right. QuickBooks. I think it's every other conversation we have with Tony Dennis. You guys have QuickBooks, right? And we're like, no, we have Trucker CFO.
Right. We got
But
a guy.
if you're in that range where you're grossing, not net, but grossing over $250,000 a year on your truck, you really ought to look into QuickBooks, because there's other compliance issues that you have if you're making that much money on the gross side. TMS platforms, which stands for, Charlie, because I always forget.
Trucking management systems.
Trucking management systems.
Boy, I fell on the spot with that one.
Yeah. But hey, you know your stuff, so that's good.
I know something.
So the what's coming down the pipe with our insurance with Seabright is a TMS system, a full management system.
It's called TIMS, TIMS.
Yep. That's called TIMS, and you're going to be able to build your driver file. And this is a good time to bring this up again, Charlie.
Right.
Most of the people we talk to do not have a driver file on themselves that is compliant with the regulations. You got to have that. All that stuff that when you go to work for a carrier that they ask you for, your driver's license, any certifications you have, your social security card, your medical card, all that stuff that you would need to produce to get hired at a carrier, you need to have that on yourself.
Yep. In a secure, locked location.
Right. So compliance and safety, we got a couple here, and Keep Trucking, Samsara, ELD, and Driver Tools. Especially, that's come up in the Swift universe this last couple of weeks, Charlie.
Right.
Can we get our own ELD? There's nothing in the contract that says you can't get your own ELD.
Right.
But it has to be compliant. And if you're leased to a carrier, they have to be able to audit it.
And support it.
So it's got to talk to their system.
So the official thing, just for you Swift guys, those of you who are looking to get your own Zonar instead of switching to the Geo tab, according to Ken McBee this week or last week, that is an absolute no-go. They will not support it.
Yep.
So try something else is what I saw.
Yep. Or just learn how to use the new system. Here's the thing with technology, Charlie. These carriers, or even myself, how long did it take you to upgrade to Windows 11 or whatever it's on?
Oh, right? God, forever.
And your hang up, as I remember, was they changed where the start bar was.
Yeah, I didn't like the look
really
of it.
Wigged you out.
It did. I don't like the middle. I didn't like it. Now it's just natural. I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, and you experienced the same thing with the new ELD at Swift.
Right.
You hated it. Filth, filth came out of your mouth.
The first couple of weeks were rough, in particular and specifically because they were still building parts of it.
Right.
So I ran into a ton of issues there, and they're like, oh, we haven't even built in how to add a team driver to this yet. Sorry, we just didn't even think about it until you were the first team and the first owner operator. And I was like, oh my God, what did I get into?
Right. Now, the next one on the list, maintenance. That's a thing for me.
Hey, you be careful with that name.
What, maintenance?
No.
Oh. Felicio. It's a company name. They do maintenance tracking and whip around. So here's the thing for you guys that maybe you paid off your truck at Swift,
right,
or at Schneider, or wherever mega carrier, and you decide you're going to go to Landstar or you're going to get your own numbers. Where are your maintenance records?
Right.
Because right now I have a 2016 truck that needs some work on it, but I could probably sell it in today's market for like $6,000-7,000 as is. But I did not pull my maintenance records, Charlie. I've got no proof of maintenance on that truck. Swift has it.
Yeah, and good luck getting it once you pull it out
Once
of the
you
system.
leave, they're not going to give it to you. So find your own way of tracking your maintenance. I know smarter people than me that actually print out their POs
Right.
and keep them in a file. I just never anticipated needing it, Charlie.
Right.
Now I'm finding out, oh, if I ever try to sell that truck, people are going to ask me for the maintenance records.
You know, and if you're using something like, you know, Kevin Rutherford's gauges,
Yep.
You can make annotations there about your service, the mileage, what was done, I mean, what it cost, all those sorts of things, right?
Yep.
Or something similar to that, you know. I would love for us to get something built like that as well. It's going to be down the road. That, oh my, any coders out there want to work for free? Just saying. But yeah, you know, so it's funny because I actually had a deal with a mobile mechanic locally who would come and do work. Guy didn't create paperwork though. And I only half tracked it. So for, you know, half the stuff he did, I can't actually put it on no paper trail. Right? I should have just made some simple notes in the KR app.
Yep.
And I didn't. Just didn't think about it. Thought, oh, I'm good forever. I know what I've done. But like Jeff said, you know, if I try and sell it, they're gonna be like, okay, what'd you do? I'm gonna be like, well, I did this, this, and this. Can I see something? Oh, at best, I got receipts for parts. I mean, that I can say.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, you know, that takes into communication scheduling, Google Calendar, Slack, things like that. I don't know if you guys know about Slack. Jeff and I were using it with our virtual assistants, people we were working with in the Philippines. And it was, you know, it's a good format, kind of post notes up there and they can get back to you when they can, or sometimes it's live and, you know, it's a great little system. You know, if you're at like Swift, you have Point, things like that. Other carriers are using something else. Google Calendar is a great way to kind of track what you need to do, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you know, if you're going time-based type things like your DOT physical, any of those things, you know, set reminders so you're ahead of the curve. You know when it expires and you know when you need to have it done by. You know, like Swift basically wants you to have it done like 7 or 10 days before it's actually dead. So it seems like, you know, that date, you should be able to do it on the anniversary date if you ask me, but whatever. So you actually get 365 days out of it, but that's fine. But this way, you know, when it's expected from your carrier and things like that, you know, or your own carrier, if that's what you are. You know, these are things that you need to be thinking about. And I mean, God, there's so many uses for a calendar.
And if you're a Microsoft user and you've signed up for like Office 360, you can use Outlook.
Right.
You know, that, and you know, you can use it on your phone, you can use it on a tablet, you can use it on your laptop, you can use it on your box at home. And the way things are set up now is it doesn't matter which device you're using, your calendar follows you wherever you go.
Right.
Really nice.
So Wimpy said, who's going to spend their 10-hour break doing paperwork? Well, I'm going to extend that out further. Paperwork, load selection, things like that. An awful lot of people.
Yeah.
So look at it from a safety standpoint, look at it from a brain power standpoint, and just time management. I mean, doing all these things without automation and systems is crazy, man. It's a lot of work, and it can become very overwhelming, which could then lead to, I mean, all sorts of issues, right? I mean, it could affect your mental health, your general stress level, your physical health, you know, your immune system. All these things are affected by all this stress you're creating or could avoid.
Yeah.
By implementing some systems and tools.
Yeah. Anything that you can automate needs to be automated. And with all the tools we have now, there's an awful lot of stuff in our day-to-day that can just be automated.
So, Tim said, one of the big time wasters for him is sitting at customers waiting to get loaded or unloaded. Not super sure how to address that one specifically with systems automation, maybe communication, maybe building relationships would fall into that.
Being nice.
Right. And he also said trucker backups is a big time waster. Again, I utilize Google Maps and Trucker's Path and other GPS software, right, to show me the traffic ahead. And then, if it's something that just pops up right in front of you, it's hard to get around sometimes, especially in a big truck, right? We can't just pop off on, Smith Road and take Smith Road through the neighborhood to get, 2 exits down and pop back on. We have to find legitimate truck routes to make this happen. And sometimes that's difficult to do.
But it's easier now than it used to be.
Right.
Because like Trucker's Path is pretty good at the truck routing.
Yeah, seriously. TK said he keeps detailed receipts of everything he's gotten done. CW said keep a file in the truck and add a piece of paper each time you get something done. Yeah, absolutely. But what if you were able to just handle that all digitally as well? And then it's cloud-based. And if your truck burns tomorrow, guess what? You've still got a copy of all that stuff. Jeff's choking to death right now. That's funny. Server at home, but can also use a separate email account for each file you want to keep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are absolutely helpful things. So, which tools have made your life easier on the road, right? This is our next little question here. CW's already answered some of that. And
well, one of the things that I really appreciate about a system like Google and any cloud system, right? So, as we've begun building this business, a lot of the stuff we do, I mean, even our show notes right now, they're sitting in a Google Drive that you, me, Donna, all have access to. Just bam, it's there. So anything that we need done in the business, all three of us have access to it. Donna's our graphic artist. Charlie's our brainstormer.
Crazy brain.
And I'm the one that keeps track of it all. But it's all right there in the drive so that there's any questions.
Jeff is herding squirrels.
What? I am not.
You're the squirrel herder. You keep us all in line.
Squirrel whisperer.
Yeah.
I'm the Charlie whisperer. That's what I am. But same thing with you guys with your own authority and stuff. How are you doing your invoicing?
Right.
Do you have someone helping you with your back office, like maybe your wife or partner, right? Use one of these cloud services so that every time you upload something, they have access to it too. One of the things with Trucker CFO on his website, he says, you're a trucker, not an accountant, right?
Yeah.
How much of this stuff do you want to do on your own? Or can you have someone help you and utilize some of these cloud services to do it?
Lance Calhoun, is there anything better than Trucker Path for parking? They often miss the mark in this area. Love the GPS. I love the navigation. Honestly, I don't look at the parking thing because I'm never stopped at a truck stop other than get fuel.
So
bounce,
I think people play reindeer games with that because Trucker's Path relies on people reporting. And there's times when I'll go to like a Love's that said that it was jam packed. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go in and get my free drink. And there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Some jackwagon decided to report that it was full.
Right.
And then
like, it's full. Wink, wink.
And then I've had the opposite where I really need someplace to shut down. Oh, it looks like that TA is wide open. Get there and there's like one pay to park spot left. So
yeah, Tim, e-logs have definitely made things easier. GPS routing has made life easier compared to when I first started driving over 20 years ago. Absolutely. I was an early adopter in GPS stuff, man. I had Microsoft Streets and Trips loaded up on my laptop on one of those big stands that was bolted to the seat and kind of presented toward you with the wired GPS transmitter that you had to mount up in the windshield and hope that it caught a signal from one of the 12 random GPS satellites that are out there. It had to lock onto at least 3 and blah. Oh my God, it was a thing. and I would map it and but it was all non-truck specific.
I had the BlackBerry with the 1.5-inch screen, dude.
Nice. Yeah.
It was triangulating your position based on cell towers, not even GPS.
Right. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so now we're gonna dip into throw that up there. Building repeatable systems for success, right? I mean, that's some of what we're already talking about. Gosh, my nose itches right now. I think my mustache is curling up in me. Sorry, that didn't sound right. The power of SOPs, standard operating procedures. For those of you who don't understand the SOP thing, those of you in the military, you know. Invoicing, dispatching, and maintenance routines. Scheduling your week for efficiency. Pick a day to do as much calling as you can, right? Use calendar reminders like we talked about. Pre-planning your routes, as much as you can, as far out as you can. So you have a working idea on where you're headed, how you're going to get there, what's the most economical way to get there, what's fuel prices along each of your routes possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Virtual assistants. I mean, there's some ways to utilize that out there. I'd really have to sit down and think about virtual assistants in trucking specific, maybe scheduling and calendar management type things, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Dispatching services, accounting help. But you need to look at this, load booking, dispatching, invoicing and payment collection, weekly route planning, maintenance scheduling, fuel tracking and receipts, and monthly profit and loss review, right? These are all things that you should be dipping into and tracking and building systems around those so that you're doing this as close to the same way every time as possible, because through that repetition comes more speed, right? Yep. I mean, when we were really first starting out, I know for me, looking up fuel prices, man, I'm like, God, it's going to take me like a half hour, an hour. And I'm just going to wing it today, bro, and hope, right?
Yeah.
But as I got to do it more, it becomes part of your pre-trip or the start of your day, or however you want to do it. Maybe you're doing it the night before and just verifying in the morning, right? Takes a couple of minutes. You get to the point where you're just like, bam, I know how to look this up. And it literally takes 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah. We were just talking about it before the show. Other talk show hosts were talking about, I can't even remember what it was called, but it was a fuel optimization program that you could buy.
Right.
And right about just after I learned about that, the website Diesel Boss came out. Remember Diesel Boss? And that would allow you to search prices based on interstate. And I got, even with that one, it wasn't really a search. You could just tell it what interstate you wanted to be on. So you had to go through each state and go, okay, I'm in Ohio today. I'm going to Pennsylvania. What's it looking like between those 2 points? And I got it down to about 10 minutes of searching that a day. But, the more you use something, the better you get at it.
Right.
And, a lot of these SOPs that Charlie's talking about, make a part of your daily routine. Do it every single day. It's going to be a pain in the butt in the beginning, no question, because you're not used to doing it. But, if you make it a habit, then you get on autopilot a little bit. And you're not burning so many calories trying to figure out that website or that sheet or whatever it is you're working with. And, even the maintenance stuff. I know that we only do maintenance. Some of you team drivers might need to do maintenance every 6 weeks or so. But on a solo truck, especially with the way things are right now, you run the risk of forgetting that you might miss an interval. So put it in your calendar, whether it's Google or Outlook or a paper calendar, even if you're still using one of those. And look ahead at least a week. Oh, I've got a maintenance interval coming up.
Right. Mike Henderson, you need some processes and SOPs put in place for yourself, sir. Mike said, my wife does all our financial stuff. With her and the boys moving away, I'm going to have to take care of so much stuff I've never had to do. She is still going to help, but I'm a lazy ass, he says. But yeah, I get it, man.
So I would say start using these cloud services, Mike, no matter where they're moving to in the world. she can access this stuff. You know, one of the things, Mike, that you can do, and it doesn't cost very much. You can get a phone number through Google services that's a US number,
Mm-hmm.
and it's voice over IP.
Right.
And I actually set one up as an experiment, Charlie, for Contractors Corner.
Right.
And it was like $5 a month.
Yeah.
It's what it was.
The cost is like nothing.
And so she's got to make phone calls to pay bills or whatever for you. Again, you know, Donna does all our finances as well. I don't know where I'd be without her. I wouldn't know how to pay the mortgage, Charlie.
Right.
You know, so
yeah, it's a trip, man.
So, you know, but she has her little system that she uses. We're working on getting better communication between the two of us on that. And it's going to require using the cloud.
Right.
You know, even on the non-business financial side, you know, Quicken is only like $100 a year.
Right.
And we looked into that. We're dumb, so we never set it up properly. But like if she pays a bill, it shows up and I can see it.
Right.
Right away. Even setting up your bank accounts in a way, you know, you can do this if you're banking at the same bank, Charlie.
Right.
Like so we bank at Zion's Bank, and we set up Contractors Corner there as well because Donna also does that. But she does a lot that she doesn't get paid for. You know, when I go into my mobile banking, I can see all of those accounts. You can set it up that way.
Right.
If you're not banking at the same bank and you use something like QuickBooks or Quicken, you can still see all of your accounts all in one place. And I think that's something that people miss. That's a system of I gotta get my hands out of the way of the camera.
Right? Dude, your arms look so long because of the angle, and your hands are massive.
I'm gonna give you a big hug over the internet,
Right?
Charlie. You feel better now?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, sir.
But I think that's a system that people neglect. The ability to see all of your accounts in one place, to create somewhat of a dashboard for you to see where you're really at. So you've got your business account, you've got your business checking and your business savings, right? You got your personal home account where you pay all your home bills out of, and your personal savings account.
Right.
There is power in being able to see those balances all in one place.
Right.
You know where you're at. There's no lying to yourself about your finances when you can see it at the click of a button. That's a great system to put in place.
No doubt. So with that being said, and we wrap this little section, what's one process you wish you had automated right now that you don't? And why? And, you know, maybe we can come up with some answers, or maybe there's something out there. Maybe we can help walk you through trying to set something up. May not be the most efficient necessarily, but I bet it's more efficient than whatever it is you're trying to solve, right? Automating parts of these things, even some automation, is better than no automation, right? And then you can learn from that and build, like an Excel spreadsheet, right? For tracking numbers. Mm-hmm. You know, people like Matt Nissen are out there working on these things all the time, you know, and he openly shares them with people. You just got to ask him for it, you know? So he can track all of his expenses right there in real time. You know, he puts all his loads in as he gets them and just moves along and knows what to expect and all that sort of stuff. Yep. And it's progressively gotten better over time. He's like, oh, what if I had this feature in there? And he's like, man, that's awesome. Or I tried this one, this was terrible, right? I mean, but you know, by trying. Grease pencil on a windshield. CW. I feel you, man. That's some old school right there. I used to write all my directions that way. Like all my highway turns.
Yeah, I used to do that.
And God, grease pencils. And then we started using those dry erase markers. And you know what the problem with dry erase markers was? Any condensation built up on a windshield.
Yep.
Your directions are gone, buddy, and now you're out there hosed. Oh my God. And I would do it over and over, Jeff.
Yeah. Because you're smart like that.
Yeah. insanity, they say.
Yeah,
Doing
any of
over
this,
and over.
any of this tech, any of this stuff, it's going to increase profit, your net profits. Why? Because you're not wasting time on doing these things. It frees up time to actually promote your business. It promote to make those phone calls if you're working with brokers, to build those relationships if you're working in a carrier, right? It frees up time.
Right.
And time really is money. You talk to some of these rich guys, that they hire people to do stuff, and you're like, why are you hiring someone to do that? Can't you just do that by yourself? What are you, 10?
Right.
But I just took another class from a guy, and he said the way he does his priority list, things like going and doing the dry cleaning or whatever, or mowing the lawn. For him, taking the time to mow the lawn could literally cost his firm $1 million,
Right.
because he should be doing something else to grow the business. So he hires that out. We mentioned earlier getting yourself a virtual assistant. Especially if you're a small fleet owner, if you could find a virtual assistant that can do some of your accounting for you, I would consider Trucker CFO a virtual assistant for accounting, right? It'll cost you some money. But if you're a small fleet owner, is your time better spent? Is it more profitable to spend going through your books every month? Or is it better spent building a relationship with the carrier that your fleet is at, or the broker that your fleet utilizes? Which one is going to profit you more? So there is an actual calculus for this that people mention. That if your activity is worth 10 times more than what, say, that pool boy is worth to clean your pool, hire the pool boy. Hire the lawn maintenance crew, because if your time is worth 10 times what it costs you to hire that person, that's a net gain for you in your life, in your business. So that's why we invest in systems. Investing in systems equals more freedom and fewer mistakes. Because that's the other thing is, you talk about hiring an accountant, and, we promote Trucker CFO because we like the guy. But whoever you hire, it needs to be an expert in that thing that you need done. So if you need an accountant, you hire an accountant. Don't hire somebody that's not an actual CPA. Yeah, CW Spreadsheets for Dummies book would be a great start. I love the Dummies books. I gotta tell you, I love those books. I learn more from that than any other medium when I'm trying to learn a new tech or something. And I think if I'm correct, CW, that was response to Michael Fowler. No knowledge on spreadsheets. Where does one start? Yeah, choose which software you want to use. And it's either going to be Google or it's going to be Microsoft. Let's be real. Choose which one you want to learn and go get the dummies book for it. Seriously, they're very straightforward, very easy to read. They're entertaining. They're kind of funny in some places. So I think Charlie had the question. I don't know how to do this because I'm dumb sometimes, but I'll just put the question up. Have you seen a return? If I can type right, from using. Wow, if you guys could see my typing, you would totally make fun of me right now. From using any specific software or app. If you guys have a software or app that you use religiously that you have gained from, you can actually quantify, yes, this saved me this much money. Put it up, man, because we're absolutely interested. Feel better, Charlie?
Oh my God, dude. It's not even going to talk about that.
Okay. So I put your question up. It took me a while to type it because I've got the fat fingers today.
Nice. Which one? Okay, gotcha.
But one of the things you want to look at is the ROI, which is return on investment. Whether it's the OPS oil filtration system or those fancy covers for your wheels or the flow blow system if you own your own trailer, stuff like that. Figure out what the return on investment is, because some of the stuff, it may look cool and it may benefit like a 14,000 truck fleet.
Right.
I'm looking at you, wheel covers. But for a
Okay.
single operator, you'll never see the money back from that.
Right.
It just does not save enough money. Now, we have to put in here, Charlie, if you just want fancy wheel covers, go get yourself some fancy wheel covers.
Absolutely.
It's your business. It's your truck. And if that makes you feel better driving down the road, I'm all for it. Just know what it costs you. Know what the ROI potentially is. I did figure out, Charlie, like on my solar that I put on my house even. I know the ROI on that is 20 years.
Right.
That's my return on investment on all the solar that I put on my house is 20 years. I'm still kind of butthurt about that, but yeah. Fuel Book has been a good return for CW. Dude, I love Fuel Book when I was
right.
Right now I don't have the mix of options before me that I used to. I'm solely using the ES Advantage fuel card right now in the operation I'm in.
Right.
But that's because the guy that fronts the money for the fuel that I pay for, that's what he wants us to use. So that's what we use.
Right.
But it is one of the best fuel cards out there. So every once in a while I'll see like a QT. It's usually a QT. If I'm getting beat, it's a QT.
Right.
So
CW, you ain't wrong. If it makes you feel good, screw the ROI. No, look, there are some things. I get it. We're gonna harp on things like big shiny bumpers and whatever, right? We can't help it because we're on the business mind. But once you understand the cost and you're like, I know what it's gonna cost me, I get it. I just want these shiny wheel covers or this big shiny bump. Hey man, that's cool. We're not gonna say no. I mean, who are we to say no, right?
Yeah.
We just want you to understand the cost, but that goes on, right back into, what pays off versus what doesn't, right? You touched on, load optimization tools, more revenue per mile, accounting software, easier tax prep and expense control, maintenance trackers, fewer breakdowns and lower costs. That's what pays off. What doesn't pay off, let me take your question down because I'm blocking the screen. Overpriced gadgets you don't use.
Yep.
Right. Look, I've bought some doozies in the past thinking this is going to be great. And then I'm like, I'm not using this crap. And I spent money on whatever.
Or even so, Charlie, I'll take it to an extreme.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself.
Uh-oh.
How often do you use those streaming services that you subscribe to?
Right.
Now, there's an absolute benefit to having streaming services.
Right.
You and I discussed some of the shows that I watch and how entertaining they are, and they help me unwind. But every once in a while, I'll notice, hey, that one streaming services, there's nothing I'm watching on there for like 2-3 months. Get rid of it. I know it's only $20 a month, but they add up.
Right.
And
worse, those subscriptions you signed up for that you forgot you even had. Jeff and I talk about those on a fairly regular basis. And I'm one of those guys that needs to go back through and figure it all out because I think there's a lot.
Well, as lean as we've been running in the industry, right? I'll pay all my bills and all of a sudden, there's a subscription I forgot about.
Right.
Dang it. You know? So then I got to move money back over that I had moved into savings because that's what you should do as a responsible adult.
Right.
Then I got to move it back over to pay for that $20 that I forgot that I had. And then you know what you do, Charlie. Oh, yeah, I need to cancel that. But do you?
Right.
No.
You're like, oh, I remember that I had that. Oh, yeah, I'm going to watch that show one more time.
Oh, I'm
Oh, that was awesome.
falling apart here.
I got drunk. I thought it was me. Tech with no support or integration. Not working.
Yep.
You know, if you can't figure out how to integrate it and you can't get any support, get rid of that one.
Hey,
or
Charlie, I'll call it out. You know, we've experienced this in our Contractors Corner business. You know, we invested a sizable amount of money into a platform,
right.
No support at all.
Yeah.
And Charlie's been watching me with the new platform for my own coaching business that I'm building. The support is amazing.
Right.
You know, and the difference is being able to use one versus not being able to use the other one. Halo Tire Systems.
That's a great return, if you ask me, based
Yes.
on it may be hard to mark, maybe not over time, because it's keeping your tires, provided you're monitoring it properly and actually checking pressures. Even, you know, get the add-on, get that extra tech piece where it displays your pressures all the time for you. Right?
Yeah. Is that one on your phone or is that one a separate thing?
I believe it's on your phone as well.
Yeah.
So you probably put it up on a tablet.
We were inspecting the new Freightliners the few that actually had them when we were at Driver Appreciation Week, and they had the little Bluetooth icon on them.
Yep.
So,
but yeah, stuff like that. I mean, that's absolutely tech worth investing in, I believe.
Although Charlie, let's be real, having that on your phone might be distracting you from driving because you and your tire fetish. You would be watching that all the time. You would be interested. What time of day does my tires get hot, and which time of day do they cool down, and what driving conditions, and this and that. You would be into it.
Use in moderation. Use appropriately and responsibly. Don't go crazy like I tend to do. So, you know, I mean, that's something I would have to personally think about. You know, what kind of a distraction would it be? You know, if your tech is distracting you from, you know, your other stuff that you have to do, probably not a good thing, right?
Yeah, we've seen people being distracted by tech in Atlanta.
Oh God, every day, all day. CW, he'd crash the first day, right? Oh my gosh. Excuse me.
But you know, dare I say it too, some of the camera systems out there, and again, I don't want my customer having access to it. Let's be clear. But some of these camera systems out there, they have onboard AI coaching.
Right.
You know, I think anything that makes you a better driver is a good system. I don't want Panther having access to it because they might go bat snot crazy over some things that they don't need to.
Right.
So what system or tool has changed your business the most, guys? Let's get that question out there. And are you spending too much time on tasks that should be automated?
Yeah, definitely go down in the comments after the live show and answer those questions for us. Let others know what your thoughts are and see if we can get a discussion going. Oh, weird. What is that?
That's my phone.
Oh.
Let me go. Take me off, Charlie.
All right. That's awesome. Anyhow, but yeah, so answer those questions down below if you would, or sorry, I got distracted, or want to jump out and feel them down the road, right? CW, like squirrel, dude, no joke. But yeah, so, you know, think about those questions for us. And after the show, if you wouldn't mind, go back and answer those in the comments on you know, the comments on the show itself, not during the live, because that'll help get a discussion going with other people and maybe people that aren't necessarily so keen on asking or making comments during the live segments. And we get that. It's no big deal. it would just be helpful to, try and get a little more input there. And like I said, keep that conversation going. But, inside the RWE community, we help trucking business owners build systems that grow with them. That's one of the things we were talking about. You got to make it better. If you're tired of doing it all alone, join us at rwedrive.com. Work smarter, not harder. We're going to wrap this. We'll be right back. You guys know what's coming, and here it is. You're either running your business like an owner or like an employee. And if you're stuck in that employee mindset, you're leaving money on the table. Company drivers wait for direction. Business owners create opportunities. Company drivers chase miles and just drive. Business owners chase profits and know their numbers. Want to run a real business? Start tracking your numbers. Know your cost per mile and start saying no to bad loads. Drop "I run a business" in the comments if you're done thinking like an employee. If you want to take this mindset shift further, join the Road Warrior Entrepreneurs community at www.rwedrive.com, where we have profit boosting strategies, coaching calls, and real road warriors winning together. Is it weird that I like that music so much? I just can't help it. Hey, Mike, I read what you put there. My Samsara camera is probably the best thing I've ever purchased because it saved me from a guy hitting my truck on purpose. Look, that is legit. That's why we tell everybody you should have a dash camera. I prefer not to have one controlled by the carrier or my customer, right? These AI, like Jeff was saying, that the AI prompts that help you do better and things like that. Look, man, like the lane departure system, the systems that say, hey, you're getting too close, right? They alert you and they bring you back into that focus and help start, developing that muscle memory or your eyeball memory. Oh, I'm too close. It becomes second nature after time, hopefully and usually. But these systems are great. But I'm also going to use this to segue into today. I was working on the legal and sort of logistics side of that contest we've been kind of teasing about, where we're going to be asking for your videos that you own, unedited and not crazy stuff, being that, don't stage anything. Anyhow, we're going to get into more details later. But we are getting closer. We got to create official rules and an FAQ and all this stuff and get our sponsor lined up because, we're going to be giving away, a cash prize and some other cash prizes to those who vote and are a part of the process and all that kind of stuff. So, just keep that in mind. Something's coming very soon. And we're hoping that we'll be able to have that set up here and some more detailed information in the very near future. So what we're going to be asking for, so start saving them up if you happen to have them now or they come up in the future. We're asking to see those dash cam videos that show the four-wheelers doing the crazy, dangerous, stupid things in front of us big truck drivers. We all see those sites. There's a billion sites out there that show, big trucks doing weird things. I'm over it. We don't see a ton of hardly any videos where the reality is that most of these truck accidents involving a four-wheeler, the four-wheeler was the at-fault party. Now, sometimes it falls into, in the trucking world, preventable. Could you have prevented it by turning your wheel, applying the brakes sooner, things like that? That is still a thing. But the actual initial fault of the accident, a lot of times, in fact, I think the last number I heard was something like 70% is the four-wheeler. So if you get a 1 or 2 minute video, up to 2 minutes videos, 720p resolution is what we're looking for because of file size and all that sort of thing, nothing over 2 minutes. Keep those. And when we set everything up, we're going to give you a place you can upload them and you got to do a release and all this. You have to own the video. You have to have absolute rights to that video. You will retain ownership of that video, so don't worry about that. We're just going to be able to show it wherever we want, and you're going to have to agree to that because that's, a thing. Anyhow, but that's going to be fun, I think, and I think that could be really cool. So if you have a dash cam, hey, cool. Maybe it's a reason to buy a dash cam because, you know, you, like me, drive through Atlanta on a regular basis, and that's absolute gold. However, myself, Jeff, our family members, and members of our immediate family, employees, and immediate members of their family, of our sponsor, which will be released later, will not be eligible for any of these prizes. So don't think we're going to do all this weird stuff anyhow and just keep the money. I could use some money. Anyhow, yeah. But if you guys got any questions or comments or anything you want to dip into, by all means, throw it up there and we will try and dip into it. I don't know what happened to Jeff. He got a phone call and had to go. He's still there, I think, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully everything's all right there. But how you guys doing, man? It's been I started to talk earlier about my week. I have been home all week. I am still in pajamas following my last week's medical physical debacle. IYK. Feel free to go back and figure out what I'm talking about if you don't already know. Anyhow, just chilling. Had a lot of drama, not drama, but kind of scare stuff happened in the family. You know, mom was in the hospital a couple of days last week, in and out, and then they kept her overnight, and there's things going on, and she's good now. She got out just before the weekend, had a great Easter dinner with some family and friends out there in Oregon. I was here in Florida with my Florida people, had dinner here, and it was cool. Ida, hey Ida, do me a favor. I'm not working tomorrow. Probably Thursday. I'm not sure. I pushed my PTA way out. But I'll give Gary a call tomorrow sometime. I still got to go get tires. Anyhow, I love you. You're my favorite Ida in the world. I'm just saying. Good to see you, by the way. But yeah, so totally lost my train. Choo-choo, derailed. Ida, tell me a story. Don't make it about unicorns. Oh, Jeff might be coming back. He may be coming back to tell me I'm on my own.
Well, I didn't see Donna looking at me weird, so good job.
Nice. I tried. You know what I did is I teased some more of our dash cam video contest and said, you know, I was explaining that we did some work today on this stuff, and we got to build legal disclosures and guidelines and official rules and all this stuff. It's a lot, but got quite a bit done today, at least the rough outline for it. Ida, once upon a time, there was a boy named Charlie. Spelled correctly, by the way. Thank you, Ida. Yeah. So we'll talk about more details on that, the sponsor, the number of dollars that's going to be involved as we solidify all that stuff. And I think we've finally got a way to build a system that will build a system. See what I did there? That will allow you to upload videos to us, and it's going to be cool.
Yeah, remember what we're looking for is four-wheelers doing dumb stuff.
Right.
There's already so many websites out there that are doing truckers doing dumb stuff. We want to focus on the four-wheelers.
Ida just wrote the shortest fairy tale ever. And it's a fairy tale because it starts, once upon a time, there was a boy named Charlie. He had a wife, Rosie, that we all loved more. The end. Fairy tale. She loves me more. I'm just saying. Because it started once upon a time. Anyhow, Ida. Watch. Around the world, Rainbow Eye Roll. You're welcome.
Oh my.
Yeah. I've taken years to perfect that.
That's taken years of practice, hasn't it?
Let me do this. Saw those bags, man. You take the glasses off and the bags get 10 times worse. It's crazy. Yeah, but if you guys got any other questions or topics you want us to dip into, by all means, throw them up there. We'll talk about it. You want to talk more about what we already talked about? Do that too. I'm all jacked up on caffeine from my Bustelo and Starbucks coffee now, Jeff. Can you tell?
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk myself into a coma, probably.
So I've been drinking cacao.
Cacao. That's
Yeah.
fun to say it that way.
Cacao.
Wait, let me read your cup.
Oh, yeah.
Cool dads make cool kids. Nice.
Yeah, that was my Christmas present from Violet this year.
Violet. I dig it. Smarty one. In that sense.
Yeah, you might see bags of this stuff up on my bookshelf if we can get a sponsorship. I'm just saying.
Right?
I'm not ashamed of having a sponsorship for a product I actually use.
Cacao.
Yes.
Oh, my sciences. Be right back.
Oh boy. Now I'm by myself.
Yep, you're welcome.
It's like the Charlie show, then the Jeff show, then the Charlie show, then the Jeff show. So it's you don't want to you guys don't want to hear him blow his honker. Trust me, I've been there, done that. So Ida, you made it. We still need to talk. Just saying. Your name may or may not have been mentioned today. Oh, yeah. So on the health front, A1C came back lower than 8, so we're good for another year. And basically, it was my blood sugar just got way too high, and I've learned some things and been chastised by friends, including Charlie. I actually should have gone to the hospital. It was that bad.
Right?
Apparently having a blood sugar above 500 is deadly, and I didn't know that. I topped out that night at 511, and I decided that I was going to work out because I've got the resistance bands and stuff in the truck. And if you burn off glucose with a workout, that helps. And then I decided I'm just going to sleep it off. And I found out the worst thing I could have done. I mean, I don't want to go down a negative path, Charlie, but there's a chance I could have not woken up. That's how bad it was. So now I know better. And next time I will call 911. Actually, you know what I should do, Charlie, is not eat sugar. That's what I should do. And just not have that happen again.
I like the way that progressed there, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, Michael Fowler, very close to coma. Yep, that's what I learned. But I've never had it that bad before. I just didn't know, I normally eat a pretty good keto diet. I do have some drugs that I'm on to help with the diabetes that
Drugs
I take
are bad. Oh, wait, no.
every day. Medications. I have medications that I take
Right.
for the diabetes that help.
Diabetes.
But yeah, it's just those of you that have the diabetes know it never goes away. I don't care what people say. It's not curable at this stage in the game. There's some interesting, though, Charlie. There's some interesting. What makes you think I actually understand Charlie speak? I'm getting better, but I'm not fluent. Okay. No. I think Rosie's the only one that's fluent.
Right.
But yeah, those of you that have gone down a path of poor health, it's definitely a learning curve, and things like this just keep getting worse. I'm at the point now to where I really just need to not eat sugar, which is sad for me because what I used to do, Charlie, I've done this when I'm with you. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been a good boy for a couple of weeks. I can go out and cheat. You're a bastard. So for Easter, Donna made me some sugar-free peanut butter cups, Baker's chocolate and peanut butter, and
I'm a friend.
I take erythritol for the sugar substitute. And they were really good. Oh, they were so good.
Michael Fowler asked if you tried Ozempic.
My insurance doesn't cover Ozempic, so I'm on Trulicity, which is a similar drug, but not quite the same. And I think that's what actually helped me bring it below the 8 was that. So I just tested it this week at 7.8. So of course, we want it down below 7 ideally, but below 8 is what you have to keep your CDL. And I'm going to mention it again, Charlie, because it bothers me this much. You know, the guys with the diabetes legs, you see them every day in the truck stops. Legs are like this big around,
Purple.
and scabs and purple all up and down them. Dude, I don't see how they keep their CDLs, because that's way out of control diabetes. I've never had that, Charlie.
Right.
You know, I still look good in shorts. I've seen you looking at me.
Hotness.
I don't get how these people play with death like that. That's literally what it is, playing with death.
Trucker Tim, real quick. I couldn't drink coffee if it didn't have sweetener in it. So there are lots of things to use other than sugar. Monk fruit is a great substitute. Stevia, real raw stevia.
Yep.
Doesn't take a lot. They're super sweet. Monk fruit.
Yeah. So you know I don't like coffee, right?
Right.
But for my migraines, sometimes that's the only thing you all know I'm LDS, so I'm not supposed to drink coffee. So whatever. You guys can say I'm a hypocrite all you want.
Jack.
But coffee does help my migraines. And with stevia, pure stevia, if you put 2 teaspoons of sugar in your coffee, stevia, you only need to put 1. It's like exactly half to get the sweetness level of sugar.
And it's a natural, non-diabetes interacting type sweetener.
Yeah.
It does have a slightly different taste to it.
Yeah.
But here's what I ask you to do. Don't try it once and say it's weird. Build the habit. Do it for a week. Just man up, muscle through it for a week. And I would bet that after a week, you don't notice a difference. And if you try to go back to sugar, you'd be like, that tastes weird.
Yep.
It works. Because stevia.
So Splenda's different though, Trucker Tim. To me, that's got a little bit of a bitter aftertaste to it. Which, since I don't like coffee, you can probably tell what I think of bitter aftertastes.
Right.
Yeah.
Michael Fowler asked if you had any VA benefits.
I do not. No. I was only in for 6 years before they gave benefits to everybody that had served it all.
I just said it's a life change. You have to make the choice and make it your life. You only get one time here on Earth. Right? Look.
That's true.
Unless there's an alternative. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Vampire. If you're a vampire, let me know. I'm gonna need some proof. It's a thing.
Yeah, that's what we like about monk fruit and stevia is that it is a natural, Craig. Artificial sugars are worse than natural sugar. And I don't know. There's debate about that.
Right.
Mainly, Charlie, and we're getting in the weeds a little bit.
Right.
Full hat here. The studies haven't been done, and I think that's by design.
Right.
You know, remember when people thought that people that had fibromyalgia were making it up?
Right.
And now it's an actual diagnosed condition. Yeah, it's like that.
Hey, Matt said honey. So here's a cool thing that some people don't know about honey. You want to try and buy it from local beekeepers in your area. Like if you're home on a regular basis, like, not us, but so your family, you should get your family to purchase natural honey from your area, because it will actually help combat allergies to things in your area.
Yes.
Because you're getting small doses of that pollen from those things that might be triggering you in your local area. And it's really cool.
And royal jelly is an antibiotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta be careful with it though, because it'll kill all your gut microbes if you take too much.
Right.
Yeah. I've heard stevia. This is from Trucker Tim. I've heard stevia is a good sugar substitute. It sucks that most of these options cost more. They do and they don't. Like I say, with stevia, it takes half as much to sweeten something as sugar.
Right.
So it's not as bad as you might be thinking. It does still cost more, though. You're right.
I think that over time it actually works out pretty close, Jeff.
You think so?
Yeah, I use things like Truvia and stevia in the raw and a couple of those different products that basically natural stevia.
Yeah.
And because, like you said, you're only using half as much, you only get half as much. And wait, I do pay a premium because I actually purchased the boxes with the little individual packets within it, like you find on the table at the restaurant.
Yeah, I buy the jars. Or the big packet.
I'm terrible because I like that I get a perfectly measured packet. And because I'm such a sweet nut, 2 in my coffee every day, in my, full coffee, right? Along with my butter and my heavy cream and all that, right? But it takes 2 of those sweeteners for me to be happy and enjoy it because I'm not a coffee drinker that enjoys coffee.
Right.
I'm not a coffee flavored person. Mine is cinnamon dulce Starbucks. Seems to keep me happy with, butter and heavy cream and 2 packs of my little Truvia, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do pay a premium because I do buy it in the packets. But I think that in the jars, I think it's probably going to be close to a wash, man, honestly.
Yeah, and Ida's, especially for us diabetics, I think Ida says, I think you make your money back on the backside when you don't have to put it into healthcare.
Right. For real.
Mike Henderson's almost died a couple times. He says he's a zombie. He's actually died 4 times. Once at 2 years old, once at 14, accidental OD. Once at 19, car accident. Then the last time when I had my cancer surgery. Yeah.
You should hang out with my Scuba Steve dog, who I believe is a zombie now, who drowned in the flood here.
Okay.
And showed up 10 minutes later, like nothing ever happened.
Does he have red eyes now?
No, but she makes me question her regular. Now I got to watch her because her and the male decided they were going to beat up a raccoon in the yard. They caught that sucker. Had him pinned down. You should have seen this raccoon. I'm sorry. This is going to be a terrible story. I apologize ahead of time. They had this raccoon on his back like this. And the raccoon's like, and they're like, arr, 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 arr. They pinned it in the middle of the yard. Thing had nowhere to go.
Nice.
3:30 in the morning, mind you. Good Lord.
That's not the worst story you could tell today.
Stop it. Don't trigger. Nobody needs to hear that nonsense. Yeah, Mike, 100% cat with 9 lives, right? Bro, that's 4 down. Just saying.
I think it's an indication that you're meant for great things, Mike.
Right? Near death is an amazing thing. I mean, I don't know how you've dealt with it, Mike. The early childhood things, you tend not to remember that so much, right? 14, you're probably going to remember some. 19, definitely. And the cancer surgery thing, that's going to ring a bell, right? It's going to make you think about mortality and life choices and, all these things, right? I say life choices. Whatever. Mom's big problem right now, COPD. Whatever. I'm an idiot. What do you want from me? Anyhow, but that near death thing and or dying and being brought back, look, it's real, man. It puts things in perspective, hopefully. For me, I had some pretty dramatic stuff happen way back when, and it completely changed the person I was.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally and physically, and spiritually, one might say. I'm still not a definite focus. There is this God or that God, what have you. I believe there's something. Not going to get too deep into it. I try to live my life like a good person. Treat people the way I'd like to be treated. The golden rule thing, which kind of transfers across religions, across the world, around the globe. I say I don't know if there is or there isn't. Maybe I'll get to find out someday. Maybe I won't. Maybe the lights go out and it's all done. Who knows? I'm not going to debate this or argue it. I'm just saying that it made me think about lots of things, right? How I was dealing with my family, You know, at the time of my accident in 93, I was 22 years old. And the military was my 100% focus, not my young son and my young wife. You know, oh, they'll be there. They'll be there. Don't worry. When I'm done with this, they'll be there. Probably not the best approach to save a marriage. And, you know, my marriage was in a nosedive because wrong priorities. Things like that will put priorities back in the right place, I think. So I don't know. Sorry, that was a bit of a off the side. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that, brother. But yeah, never saw a damn light, right? I'm just saying, whatever. Look, who knows? We could get in a whole debate over the light thing, Jeff. That could be fun for some of these people. Some say it's just electrical neurons that have that vision. I don't know. Maybe it's just your brain going, "Hey, bro, shut up."
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the concepts that the last training that I went through. They want you to try and figure out how long you think you're going to live.
Right.
That way you put an end date on things.
Yes.
Which creates priority for who you really want to be in this life.
Exactly.
And I've never been all that comfortable with it because my belief.
Yep.
You live like tomorrow might be the last day.
It's the way I've lived since
always
like forever now.
But it is an interesting process to go through to say, you know, on the average, men in my family live to be about 85. So what if I only live to be 85? Or what if I get to live that long? What can I do in the next 35 years? What can I accomplish? It's kind of an interesting way of looking at it.
The longest living male relative that I have personal knowledge of in my family would be my mom's oldest brother. And he was in his 70s. Everyone else before that, dead in 50s, 60s.
Wow.
Right?
I think my grandpa was like 60. But he had the Alzheimer's. They all had your hair?
No, they had bad hair. Ooh,
oh.
Flag. That was cool. That really bad hair, like, poof. I'm actually doing really good because most of them like were losing it at 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a thing. So I don't know, man. And look, the way I was living my life early on, I shouldn't have made it to 18. Let's be real. Mike said, or excuse me, James. Wow. Now I got stuck on a name. James, I'm not worried about death. Live like you're dead. That makes no sense to me, but I think I understand your sentiment. Live like it's your last day. That's what I try to do. I make sure that, you know, every time I see people I love, that I let them know, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I hug and kiss people when I can, not strangers. I don't kiss. I will hug strangers. Jeff's seen that firsthand. Yeah. I will absolutely hug a stranger that I just met that I feel needs a hug. I ain't kissing them, but you know what I mean. Important.
That'd be weird.
Stop. I know it's good. Hey, we're right off the cliff. But yeah, I mean that look, life-changing stuff, man. Mike, you know. I'm with you. I got you. I want to still be able to run a 5K at 50. That's my physical goal. That would be awesome. Can you run a 5K now? I don't know. Ida hikes a lot. She does walk a lot. I was unaware that she has running aspirations.
Yeah.
Things you learn about people. She says, yes, that's awesome. I've met
a few people that ran their first marathon in their late 50s. My physical goal, Charlie, is to get back into hiking and biking.
Right.
You know, Don and I talk about, you know, when we were younger, we used to enjoy a lot of that stuff, and we've just gotten too out of shape. So it's going to be a little bit of a road. But, you know, you start off, I don't know if I told you, but I have a sister that she lost over 100 pounds in the last couple of years.
Right.
And, you know, she started by walking to the mailbox.
It's
That
a
was all
thing.
she could do. And now she's walking. I think she's up to 3 miles a day now. So, it could be done.
Look. My hugging people are out here. Mike Henderson, hugs are why I live. I outlived the 10 years the doctors gave me at 28 after my surgery. I'm 51. Trigger Tim, I'm a hugger. I love the bro hug. I always hope to see hugs in drama movies when a character really needs one. I just said you should look up Rich Roll. He became an ultra endurance athlete at 40. Yeah, superheroes.
Yeah.
Whatever. They're out there. They don't wear capes. I'm just saying.
So
But
is it wrong that on this one, I go deeper, live detached? We know what happened to the Jedi Order because of that. I'm just saying.
I wasn't even going there. That's fine.
You know me in Star Wars.
I know. I
It's
can't.
always
help
on the
it.
brain.
Can't help it.
I can't help it.
It's a thing.
It is. Ding, ding, ding.
Hugging for real. Man, I can't say enough. There is nothing more delightful than a damn good hug from a grandchild, a child, a loved one, people who just need a hug.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation not too long ago with someone, and I'm like, I really want to give you a hug. Didn't know this person. We were sharing stories, and their story compelled me to want to hug them like they needed a hug. And, HR and inappropriate touching and all those things. It was a Target person at a store. And I'm like, may I come in for a hug? And I did. And she said, yes, please. And I hugged her, and it was a moment. And we both felt better after. It was kind of a deep, dark type of conversation, sharing some darker stories. And it was a moment. And I believe that maybe that moment got us both through our day.
Yeah.
Because I know I felt a lot better afterwards. Like I was having a morning, like for real. And, I've never not been a hugger. I've always been a hugger. And my grandkids are huggers. They love it. Especially my middle grandson. That kid, he used to stare at me like this and say things like this to me when he first moved back over here. I don't like you. I love grandma, not you. Right?
Wow, that's extreme, man.
Oh, yeah. He was angry because, he moved here and he blamed me because they all had to move here, whatever. But now he's my best hugger of all three, honestly. He loves to hug. I love that kid. I love that he loves to hug. Totally would never have thought that. But the kid is something else. I'm just saying. Sometimes people need hugs. I just said you need that human contact. People have gotten far away from each other, right?
Yeah.
Ida knows. I try to hug her. I typically come in. I warn her, Ida, I'm coming in. I'm coming in. Oh yeah, and wrap my legs around her and arms, and it's not creepy.
No, not at all.
Whatever. Don't judge.
Hey, even if it's HR watching us for ammunition, I'll take the viewership.
Right? Look. It's intimate, but not sexual. Let's. I don't know why I felt the need to say that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That human touch. We're so afraid to touch people anymore, right? For fear of places like HR. I don't know, weird germaphobe type things. So many different reasons not to touch someone. Hell, we can't even get in the same room with people anymore. Hardly, it seems. All these places that you have to talk to them from behind glass, even still, and all this other stuff. And man, I missed a good old fashioned handshake at times, and a lot of those I turn into a hug. It's creepy sometimes. Sometimes I intentionally make it creepy because, I like to make people uncomfortable sometimes.
Eye contact.
Deep, meaningful eye contact.
Yeah. So a lot of it has to do with how you're raised. Like I was saying, she's a hugger. She was raised to just love people.
Right.
My family was not huggers growing up. And so like even with my kids, I make myself do it. You know what I mean? Because I understand the power of it.
So my family growing up, definitely huggers, but a very small family.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't one to go out and hug other people outside the family.
Mm-hmm.
That really came after my accident in 93. I think that was one of my transformations. Right? I'm just like, I want to be grateful. I want to be open, and I don't know. There's a whole bunch behind that. We could probably do like 9 hours on that all by myself. My Uncle Bill always wants a handshake when I see him rather than a hug. You know what? Give him the handshake and bring him in, man. That's what I do to those people.
Just yank.
Yes.
Just yank.
Bring them in. Oh, God. You know who's a good hugger? Matt Nissen.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Bean's pretty good, too. For those of you who know him over at Swift, I'm just saying. He's not
You know
bad.
who else is good, Charlie? Brett Stewart.
Whatever, man. Did we share that story?
I don't know if we shared it here or not.
I'm gonna do it. So we at Dahl last September. Jeff and I are standing there. Brett Stewart walks up and he reaches out and he shakes my hand, knowing I'm the hugger. Hey, good to see you, Charlie. He looks at Jeff, not the hugger, who was very thrown off by this, and just wraps him up. Strangest moment ever.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was fun to watch.
I'll take it, but you know.
Wait. I just said I just got words of wisdom today. And we should all remember how important the power of play is. You don't have to live every moment of your life like you got a stick stuffed up your butt.
Yep.
I play an awful lot. There's quite a few people out there that literally say this to me directly. Charlie, you play too much. And they walk away.
Really?
Can you imagine that, Jeff?
Well, remember what Warren Buffett said, to live a good life, you need to every day learn something, serve someone, and have some fun.
There you go. I've got a thing where part of my life's mission with Rosie is I need to make her laugh, a good laugh, at least once a day. Fortunately or unfortunately, some of those aren't really where I thought she would laugh, and they're at my great expense. But you know what? I'll take it. I'm happy with that. I love to hear Rosie laugh. One of my favorite things. That my kids, my grandkids, absolutely love laughter.
Yeah.
And those 3 words, I love you. Man, we're getting deep, Jeff. Oh.
Trucker Tim.
Legit, I'm reading that right now.
Running through sprinklers and splash pads, and people ask me if I'm 12 years old. When people ask me that, I say, maybe.
I absolutely acknowledge it. Yup. Don't judge. Come play with us. It's fun. Every now and then, you can actually get them to come with you, too. It's kind of an odd thing. You know what's cool about those types of situations, Jeff? Is you can see the freeing, the what the hell? Let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
And they play. We forget how to play as we grow up.
Remember what Larry Wingett said about that? Ask a kid how to have fun. And they'll tell you, I don't know, you just have fun.
Right? I got to tell you, I'm not physically fun so much anymore, but I am verbally and mentally fun.
Mm-hmm. Some of the greatest experiences is when I'm having fun and it embarrasses the kids.
Right? It's
and I'm like, come on, try it. It's fun.
Right. And the best part is when they actually try it and they're like, oh my God, this is the greatest.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Bro, I love the second half of our show, like most weeks, because we just go off on these weird branches that come out of just discussion. Uh, this is the beauty of community to me is, we just start having conversations and you just never know where it's going to go. And this is a good positive one, man. You know what I mean? I feel like this is
Yeah.
uplifting.
It is.
I want to get up on my toes and be taller all of a sudden. That hurts my feet. Ow! I gave myself a cramp in my toe. Jeez. Lobster, stop it.
Just like a lobster winning a fight.
Dude.
You got the old man cramp.
I stood up on my tippy toes and my ring finger toe is doing this on me right now.
Oh, the wrong way even.
Yes. Good God.
You got to take your shoe off and just
I don't even have shoes on. That's the problem. A shoe would keep it in place. I'm standing on it with my other foot. This is great video, I'm sure. Good Lord.
Well, the rest of us are having fun, Charlie.
Oh, God. See, old guys pay for their fun, though. I'm just saying. Whew.
Have a banana.
I had one. I try to have one every day in some form or another. Oh, man, that was gnarly. Oh, I can't move my foot or it starts to get good. Filth, Flarn, filth. Peter, don't repeat me. Whatever. Donna, I'm trying to censor myself. It's really difficult. I want to say words that are not okay.
Oh, Trucker Tim, yeah. He brings up a good point on the cramps that you start getting when you get older, especially in my sleep, and it wakes me up. That's the worst.
Oh. Have you guys experienced this? Where in the front of your shin, there's a thin muscle that runs down the front. Well, okay, us smaller people, small in not whatever, runs down the front of your shin. And then you've got the big ones in the back of your calf. Have you ever had those two cramp at the same time? Because they pull opposing directions.
Yeah, they do.
And that's become a regular thing for me, particularly my left leg.
I have not had that experience yet.
Not. You just don't know what to do because on one, you want to pull your toes up. But when you do that, it triggers the opposite and you got to push down. And oh my gosh. You know what? So the floor in this room that I'm in is ceramic tile. And it's got little tiny differences in height. And then I have a carpet over that. And I actually think that after, good Lord, after standing up on my tippy toes, every time I move my foot, it comes back. After standing on my tippy toes, that height difference is putting weird curvature and I don't have my shoes on and it's causing a problem. I may have to go put my shoes on. Not. I feel like if I go try to put my shoes on, that toe's going to go like this. Boom! And the rest are going to curl down and it's going to be weird. I
just
can't
weird,
even remember.
man.
How did we end up here? Yeah, especially in my sleep and it wakes me up. Tim, that's when I seem to get them typically. And like I said, it's almost always my left foot, left leg. It's very odd. I don't know why. Oh, Tim, he said I had pain from one leg cramp linger for hours before. Wait, even better. I get them and it could be a week that I'm limping because they get so extreme. It is
really
insanity.
Oh man, I do not have that issue.
Oh God, I hope you don't.
That's that's a topic too, is that if you ever feel like your life sucks, take a look around.
Right?
You know, that was,
I still ain't mad.
Even though it's fake, I used to watch Jerry Springer just because of that. My life is nowhere as bad as any of those people.
Right? There's so much out there that you can be thankful you're not a part of.
Yes.
Mike, why is it I get older and it's hard to sleep during the day? I
don't have that issue either.
Yeah, some days I'm like today I really wanted a nap but it's because yesterday I took a nap because of a migraine. I was going to lay down for 10, 15 minutes. 2.5 hours later, I get up and I'm like, oh God, then I'm up till 6 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
I got to pick the nap time and the length of the nap. That seems to be where I screw it up. But then I sometimes I have trouble falling asleep for a nap, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to set an alarm for an hour. And like 5 minutes before my hour's up, my alarm goes off because I finally fell asleep 5 minutes later. I'm like, dang it, that wasn't enough. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go for an hour from now. And then it takes me another 45 minutes to fall asleep again. It's just useless. The best ones are when I'm just laying there and that just happens.
Yeah. Yeah, Trucker Tim, you're right. Like Jeff Foxworthy once said.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
If you think your family is weird, just go to a state fair.
Right? Oh my God. Whew. This cramp stuff, it's still there, Jeff. It won't go away. If I move my
You only
foot,
have another 15 minutes, bro.
I think it's going to be here the whole dang time.
And then it's going to go away when the show's over.
Exactly when. Oh.
As soon as you push the button, it's going to be done.
I feel like I'm making it worse because I'm having to hold my foot down. I need a camera on my toe. I wish you could see this. It is baffling. There's nothing like your foot flipping you off.
I just says, Tim, you can see that stuff every day down at the Walmart.
Right. Walmart is the new State Fair equivalent on a daily basis.
Yes.
Not quite so concentrated, but definitely a close runner.
People at Walmart exist for a reason.
Oh, Jeff.
You're running out of fluid there?
No, just making sure.
You've lit that thing like 5 times.
I know. I light it, take a drag. I didn't even take a good drag, and I set it down. And it goes out. That's the good thing about cigars. They go out, and they don't just burn away like cigarettes used to. Last time I smoked a cigarette was funny. It was after I started smoking cigars again, right? And I hadn't smoked a cigarette in I don't even know how many years. Probably 10 plus, right? And it was when my buddy's mom died, and well, we were drinking whiskey and smoking cigarettes at 10 a.m. in the morning because that's what my buddy needed. Anyhow, don't judge. I'm like, give me one of them cigarettes. I smoked that whole cigarette in like 3 drags because I'm so used to these monsters.
Yeah.
And my buddy's looking at me like, what the hell just happened? I'm like, I don't know, man. It's too small. Weird. That was the last cigarette I smoked, though. That was a couple years ago. That was the first one in like 10 years. So I like my cigars. I don't know why.
It's a thing.
Less harsh chemicals in natural cigars.
Yeah.
Nothing added. I am 1 month smoke free. Good job, Ida. Woohoo! Yeah. Wait, applause. That was a moment. All right. I can't move and I want to walk around.
Oh, got all that energy.
Right? The copy is there. Wait, let's see if I can move it. I think it's gone. I'm going to put shoes on. Be right back.
Oh, he's not even going away this time. Look at that. We can all stare at his wall. So we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. What else you guys want to talk about?
That's better.
Is it better?
Yeah, that's a little better. Well, because without my shoes, I get all the little imperfections in the floor, whereas your shoes kind of, memory foam, all that stuff is comfortable. And I'm not getting all that craziness. Sorry, that does not sound like a plus, but more
applause.
Like aesthetic. Applause. Whatever, man. Don't judge me. It's the only button I got. Tariffs, Life on 18 Wheel said. I'm probably not a great current affairs guy right now. I spent the entire week in my pajamas. I've been in pajamas since I got home.
I will say that it looks like the plan is working the way they wanted it to. We got several countries coming to the table. I mean, if depending on what side of the aisle you're on, you're either happy or you're sad right now. Just wait 4 years.
Right? Let it play out. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be painful up front. And we said this before, long before the election.
Mm-hmm.
If tariffs are put in place, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some adjustment. Manufacturing needs to shift. I mean, these are all things that we know ahead of time.
Well, I'm comfortable talking about this. Don and I were talking about the tariffs the other day, and I had this debate on Facebook with a guy because I do that sometimes, which I shouldn't do because nobody listens anyway, myself included. We all have our opinions, and they're deeply rooted.
Right.
But I said, so what if what's happening now benefits our children in 10 years? And you know what this guy said? Well, I don't want to wait 10 years for benefit for the benefit. This pain is unbearable. And that's part of what I think is wrong with our society.
Right.
We don't think that 10 years out, right?
Right.
We're worried about, can I afford that Raptor today?
Right.
Screw 10 years from
At
now.
most, we're thinking in 2 and 4 year cycles.
Right. And we just don't have that long-term outlook on things. What if, and we don't know, so don't think that I'm in favor or not in favor of something here. But what if all the stuff that the current administration is doing results in a better economy in 10 years, which is when most of our children will be out there in the workforce?
Right.
Is that worth it to you or not, to have the pain now for a better future? For me, I'm willing to have the pain.
Yeah, I'm looking at my grandkids.
Yeah. And if you're not that guy, I don't know what to tell you. If you're so worried about buying your new car this year or whatever it is you're worried about, that you can't think long term, you're never going to be happy.
I just said, Lord, I'm not good at talking politics. I feel how I feel, and I don't think what I think should affect anyone but me. Ida, I miss the days when you could have a political discussion with someone, even with an absolutely diabolically opposing opinion, and you didn't hate each other at the end of it, and it didn't turn into a screaming match or a punch in the nose. I miss that civility that you could have an intelligent conversation. Sometimes, look, you're talking to someone who's completely uninformed, and maybe you could actually inform them, educate them, get them to ask questions and look things up.
Yeah.
That's
the benefit I find in debate is it makes me look things up.
Right.
I see a perspective that's not my own, and it makes me think about stuff. And, I'll comment on this because I know a little bit about it. Jerome Powell is holding up the situation. He won't lower the interest rates. Wait another couple months, life on 18 wheels. Because he has said publicly that they're anticipating 3 rate decreases in the next year.
Right.
They're just not doing it today.
They're trying not to crash the world.
Right.
Let's be real.
That's, so again, like Charlie said, let's wait and see what happens. Because we don't know what these people are going to do. And
elected officials are doing work.
Yeah, they're doing whatever it is they think they need to do for whatever agenda they've got. So the question I have for you all, whenever this comes up, is how does it affect you directly? And then ask yourself why it affects you. We do have in Western civilization, in most Western countries, we do have the ability to create our own stories. Regardless of what they do in Washington. Doesn't really matter, does it? Are you going to continue on your path to what you think success looks like?
Right.
Now, do you have to pivot sometimes because of what they do in Washington? Sure. That's why we pay attention. If we have to pivot, that's fine. But it shouldn't affect your entire life like people pretend it does. I have friends that are so far left and so far right, I swear they're going to cut off their other hand one of these days.
Right.
and they're never happy. They're not successful. And notice what I said, Charlie, people that are so far left and so far right.
Right.
It's both. Let's make no mistake here.
Right.
Extremism is extremism, no matter which side of the spectrum you're on.
Exactly.
And I live my life day to day, and I try to do the best for me and mine that I can. And, what I mean by me and mine is all of you as well.
Right.
We're a community here.
Absolutely.
Let's figure out how to survive and thrive regardless of what they do in Washington. Let's get away from that.
I'm going to dip into this Ida comment real quick, Jeff. Ida said, my first godchild is transitioning. I've had to learn a brand new way to love someone while keeping my morals. I think this is an interesting topic. And here's my thoughts without getting political or any of that negativity, whatever. Okay. I think you love people for who they are, not necessarily the choices they make. Right. So you love them in one form, you should be able to love them in any form.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had anything that extreme in my life, but I do have a daughter that's gay. And you all know that I'm LDS. Does it affect how I love her? Not at all. None. She no longer goes to church with us and all that sort of stuff, but she does live at the house. And, we love her. That's all that's required. So yeah, I get it. We did have to really think about that, how to maintain our morals. And
right.
She understands what we believe and we understand what she believes, and that's enough. But then again, I raised my kids, Charlie. You know how I raised my kids.
Yep.
They can debate dad anytime.
Yep.
And I'm happy if they can defend their point of view.
Absolutely.
That's the requirement with dad. You better be able to defend your point of view, even when we disagree.
One of my favorite memories of Yasmin and Rich back when they were little, Yasmin was very spiritual. Richie, some might just say atheist, right? It was interesting because unprompted by any outside source, any adults, like, we would just listen in like conversations because, the room was next to ours. And they would have these philosophical, theological debates back and forth. And it was fascinating to me. I mean, as young as Yasmin being as young as 5 years old, Richie was 8, I guess, at the time, up through, their early teens. And but they never got mad at each other. They just had differing views. And I thought it was fascinating, to be able to have that conversation. I miss that in today's society. TK, did you mention a new fuel app? No, buddy. No. Pen and paper right now, or an Excel sheet or a Google sheet is probably your best bet if you don't want to pay the $5 to the KR folks. I haven't sorted out what I'm doing yet. I'd like to develop our own app.
We're coming up on the close, and I wanted to get to this one. What I don't understand is why the government promotes entrepreneurship but then hits us with self-employment tax, the $8,000 or the $10,000 I owe the IRS. So, Tim, it's not really a self-employment tax. It's what non-tax people call it. What that really is your Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Right.
So if you're an employee, let's say you worked for Swift as an employee, you would pay half of that, and Swift would pay half of that. So you would pay $4,000 and they would pay $4,000. Since you're self-employed, you're on the hook for that entire Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. That's what that is. So is it a penalty? I guess you could see it that way, but it's Medicare, Medicaid, all that stuff, disability, FICA. That's FICA is what it is. So it's kind of a weird thing. People call it a self-employment tax, but it's not really a self-employment tax. It's just FICA.
Right.
We're on the hook for 100% of it, which is why we have always said that we have a moral problem with people paying their drivers on a 1099.
Right.
We have issues with that on moral grounds because you're putting your employee on the hook for that entire FICA.
Moral, ethical issues.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure we hit that one, Charlie.
Nope, I dig it. Hey, with that, we're gonna wrap this thing up, guys. Next week, the truckers credit playbook. That's what we're gonna be dipping into. How to build, repair, and leverage credit for growth. We're gonna have lots of opinions on that, I believe. Business credit versus personal credit. How to fund trucks, trailers, and business expenses without draining cash. There are opposing views on both steps. Real steps to level up your credit and your options. We're trying to get a guest for that one. I'll let you know then whether or not we got him, and because I haven't heard an answer yet. But if not, we're gonna wing this thing the best we can, going on our past conversations around such topics. But right here, 6 p.m. next Tuesday, that's our show, the Truckers Credit Playbook: How to Build, Repair, and Leverage Credit for Growth. And hopefully we'll see you guys all here for that one. Jeff, what do you got?
You know what I've got. Keep that rubber side down, and remember, with no action, there is no traction, guys.
You guys look after each other. Remember, there's no one out here looking after us but us. Ida, I love you, even though you say you love my wife more. That's weird, but it's fine. I get it. I love her more than anything on the planet. And hey, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in every week like you do. It means a great deal to us. Oh, look.
Hey, Rosie.
She's got her Max Velocity 1 million subscriber exclusive shirt.
Quick dash. Bye.
And I loved watching the dash, if you know what I mean. What? On that note, we're out. You guys be safe. We'll see you next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time right here. Trucking Talks Live. And you guys are awesome.